everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Julia Ray Connor, and I make a lot of lifestyle, motherhood, wellness type videos here on my YouTube channel. This video is going to be a few home decor projects and some scratch cooking, including the best roasted chicken, the easiest and the best roasted chicken recipe ever, so stay tuned for that. I'm just starting off the day by adding some spackle to these holes. My husband switched over the handles on this little dresser for us, which is something we use as a makeshift extra pantry. So I'm filling the holes so that a little bit later I can paint them, which you'll see again near the end of this video. And then I'm going right into making something I'm trying for the second time now. It is a cinnamon sugar, no knead artisan loaf. So I have a recipe I've posted before. It's on my channel and on my blog. I will link it in the description box down below. This is the easiest bread recipe ever. It's just flour, yeast, salt, water. You let it sit overnight. It looks like this, and then all you do is dump it out and bake it. So what I'm doing instead here is, before I bake it, I'm going to stretch it out into a very roughly formed rectangle on my kitchen counter. And then you just add your butter, sugar, cinnamon mixture before rolling it and letting it rise again. So in a cup or a small dish, all I'm doing is adding about 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm using unsalted butter, but it works with salted if that's what you have. And I'm just microwaving it. You could do this on the stovetop as well. I'm just going the easy route today. And then I'm adding in a heaping tablespoon of cinnamon powder and about half a cup of sugar. This is just an organic cane sugar, but you can use whatever granulated sugar you have. Just mix it up really, really good. And then just dump it onto that rectangle of dough you have. Spread it out. Make sure it's as spread out as you can get it. This is already making my kitchen smell so good. Just the aroma of the melted butter with the sugar and the cinnamon. Oh my goodness. And then all you do is you roll it up like you would a cinnamon roll. The difference is that this wouldn't hold its shape like cinnamon roll dough would. So all you're doing is once it's fully rolled up, you're just looping it around to make one big circle. And then I just add a little bit of flour into the bowl and pop it right back in and let it rise for about another hour. You could let it go 2 hours as well. It's just really dependent on how much time you have. Then I'm just making a little bit of coffee. It is coffee time. I've been up for a few hours. I've been doing some laundry, some cleaning, some baking, some spackling, and I used up the rest of our maple syrup. So this is a very, very mapley coffee, and it was divine. So this has been proofing for about an hour and a half now, and I am just going to dump it onto a lightly floured piece of parchment paper. Mine kind of came apart a little bit. I'm just really roughly kind of piecing it back together. It really doesn't matter. It didn't change the taste at all. It just meant some of the sugar and the butter kind of leaked out into the bottom and made the bottom of the loaf a little sticky, but still divine and delicious. And then all I'm doing is popping it into the heated up Dutch oven. You can see I just baked a loaf of my regular no knead loaf there. So 450 for 30 minutes. And while that is baking, I am getting crafty on our front porch. I took my coffee out and I started to piece together these corn stalks that my husband picked up for me. These are just from a local farm, and they still had actual cobs of corn on them, so I cut those off first, and then I just kind of split them up into 2 even bundles, and just using twine I tied them up, and these are going to be attached to our front porch pillars, and I think it's gonna look super, super cute. At the end of this video I'll actually show you what they ended up looking like all done and dusted. But it was such a beautiful fall day. It was windy, it was crisp, I was sipping my maple coffee, and yeah, just feeling all of the fall vibes. I'm so happy I did this year. So now heading back inside, I am just taking this cinnamon loaf out of the oven. I did bake it for 30 minutes at 450 and then an extra 10 minutes with the lid off, again still at 450, and it looks perfect. It smells amazing. I'm just moving it over to the cutting board beside the regular loaf of bread just to have it cool down here. It was so sticky and gooey and oozing that delicious buttery, sugary cinnamon mixture. And our neighbor actually brought us some chicken noodle soup, so we each had a bowl of that with some fresh bread and butter, and it was beautiful. And of course, afterwards, my husband and I both wanted to try the cinnamon loaf, so we cut it open and had it with some warmed up cinnamon butter, and oh my goodness, look how gorgeous that is. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. And then another neighbor gave us some zucchini from their garden, and to be honest, I am all zucchini'd out. We got so much from our garden. This time of year, I'm always very grateful for all the zucchini we have from our garden, from our neighbor's garden, but I am just over it. So I don't want it to go to waste. I'm just peeling it, chopping it, shredding it, and then popping it in some Ziploc bags to put into our deep freeze. I love using shredded zucchini in like homemade hamburger helper, sneaking it into chocolate muffins, chocolate loaves, that kind of thing. Just an easy, simple way to use it up and make whatever I'm making a little bit more nutritious. Okay, now a few hours later, and I am starting in on dinner. I'm not gonna lie, I had a glorious long afternoon nap. I am 5 months pregnant, and oh my goodness, I am feeling it, and I am having all the naps. But now it is time to get dinner prepped and in the oven, because it takes a little bit of time to cook. So this is a Dutch oven roasted chicken. It is so easy and so perfect every single time. You really can't go wrong with it. So all I'm doing is I'm roughly chopping some veggies, carrots, onion, potato, and some celery. If I had Brussels sprouts, I'd throw those in as well, but it's still delicious just with the onion, the carrot, the potatoes, and a little bit of celery. Then I'm just giving it a little bit of a toss, and I forgot to add the garlic, so I'm adding in a few cloves of garlic here as well. Again, just really roughly chopped. Then I am taking probably about 2 tablespoons of butter. I melted it. I'm drizzling that over, and then I'm going to give it a quick little toss. And then just being pretty generous with the salt and pepper here as well. We started using a really nice sea salt, and it makes all the difference in my cooking. And then I do have some dried herbs from the garden this year that I'm trying to use up. I'm going to make some herbed butter, but I'm also going to take some of the thyme from this little bundle here and pop it in on top of my veggies. And then my chicken was still not as defrosted as I would have liked, so I'm just popping it in the middle there, and I'm drizzling some butter over this as well. It makes such a difference as opposed to using something like an oil. And then just some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit of dried thyme as well. Again, guys, this is so stupid simple, and it's foolproof if you follow the recipe. And then I'm roughly chopping up an apple. We have so many apples from the apple orchard still. I'm looking for ways to use them up. Normally, again, I would stuff the chicken with the apple, but because it was still a little frozen in the inside, I'm just tossing the apples in around it in the Dutch oven. I just really like the flavor this adds to the gravy at the end, which I will show you how we make our gravy. Because again, so easy, so foolproof. And then just popping the lid on, and I'm putting it straight into the oven at 375. I do about 20 minutes per pound, but I think I added on about an extra 25 minutes to this just because it was still a little frozen on the inside. And then a break while that was in the oven to pick up my son from school. We had some tea on the back steps. He played, we chatted, caught up on the day. Look at this stunning tree in our neighbor's yard. And then I'm checking on the chicken. So it's fully cooked here, and I am removing the lid and then popping it back into the oven. I'm increasing the temperature to 400 for another 20 minutes. And this is what it looks like. It is perfection. So I just removed the veggies and the chicken and put it into a baking dish and popped it in the oven to keep warm. And then I'm just heating up the drippings on an element on the stove. I'm adding a half a cup of chicken broth and about a quarter of a cup of wine. I'm just using a Pinot because that's what we have from our collection. And I'm letting it come to a really gentle simmer, whisking frequently. And then I just have my mixture here of thickener. It's just a quarter cup of flour, a quarter cup of water. I mix it up really good and whisk it in. And you whisk and whisk and whisk until all of the drippings are thoroughly mixed in, and it's perfection and so stinking simple. My son is helping my husband light our dinner candle, and that is dinner. After dinner, we went for a little walk, and I thought I would take the opportunity to show you what my little corn stalks looked like, all tied up on our front step here. And then once our son was in bed, it was about 7:30 at this point, I decided to sand these holes and put the first 2 coats of paint on this unit. I just wanted to get it done. So I did this just so that these 2 coats could cure overnight, and then the following morning I finished up with another 2 coats. But oh my goodness, I'm so happy we switched these handles. I think it looks so beautiful, and it really blends in much better with the rest of our kitchen now. And then the last thing I'm doing before winding down for the night is I took all the meat off of the chicken bones. That's what's left over of the carcass. And I am prepping them in the Instant Pot. So I am just adding the carcass, and a bit of the meat is still on the bones there, with 8 cups of water as well as a quarter cup of apple cider vinegar. And then tomorrow I will make my broth in the Instant Pot. But this, soaking it like this overnight with the vinegar, just makes for the most gelatinous, delicious broth. It is the key to a really good bone broth, I promise you. And yes, that's that. That was my crafty and kitchen day. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.